Now, we have this idea that the ultra-wealthy are just completely immune to financial problems. But what's happening right now, it's something different. There is a quiet but absolutely brutal financial slaughter happening at the very top of the wealth pyramid. And we're not just talking about people becoming a little less rich. We're talking about them going completely broke.
Yeah, welcome to the Rich-Cession. Look, that's not me being dramatic. That's a direct quote from people who watch this stuff for a living. For the first time in a generation, a perfect storm of factors is making fortunes that seemed totally untouchable, just evaporate, sometimes in a matter of months. So how on earth did the game change so fast for the people who basically wrote the rules?
Well, it all starts right here. For more than a decade, the entire global economy was running on one simple ingredient: free money, cheap debt. And for the wealthy, this wasn't just some nice perk. It was a core strategy, a dangerously effective one that has now backfired spectacularly.
What's really fascinating is how they did it. The wealthy weren't really spending their own money. They were using this brilliant and totally legal strategy called buy, borrow, die. Honestly, it was basically an infinite money glitch in real life, and the playbook was deceptively simple.
Okay, so here's how it worked. Step 1, you buy assets that you know are going to grow in value. Stocks, real estate, you name it. Step 2, you go to a bank and take out a massive loan against those assets, but at a super low interest rate. And then, step 3, you live your lavish lifestyle completely funded by that loan. And here's the kicker: since you never actually sell the original asset, you never have to pay capital gains tax. It was perfect, right up until the moment it wasn't.
And this is when the music stopped. Cold. When interest rates were practically zero, paying back that debt was a rounding error. It was nothing. But when rates suddenly shot up from 1 or 2% to 6, 7, even 8%, that once clever strategy became a 5-alarm cash flow fire. The cost to just fund their lifestyle suddenly tripled or even quadrupled almost overnight.
This created this bizarre new kind of crisis, being asset-heavy but cash-starved. Just picture a tech founder, right? His company's worth, say, $500 million on paper, but he has almost no actual cash in the bank. Then his company's valuation drops. The bank makes what's called a margin call, which is basically them saying, hey, your collateral isn't worth enough anymore. We need more money now. If he can't pay, he's forced to sell his stock at rock-bottom prices, wiping out years of hard-earned gains.
But it gets worse, because the end of free money had a devastating partner in crime. The one asset class that everyone thought was the absolute bedrock of long-term wealth, commercial real estate, well, it turned into a wealth shredder. Just to give you a sense of the scale of this problem, we're talking about nearly $2 trillion in commercial real estate loans coming due by 2026. Now think about that. These loans were written in a world of low rates and offices packed with people. They're now maturing in a world of high rates and remote work. It is an absolute ticking time bomb. And we're already seeing the carnage. The value of prime office space in a city like New York has been nearly cut in half from its peak. Investors who thought they were buying the safest asset on planet Earth have watched their entire stake just disappear.
Let me make this real for you. Let's talk about landlord Larry. He puts $50 million of his own money down on a $200 million building, and he borrows the other $150 million. Fast forward to today, that same building is only worth $90 million. He is now $60 million underwater. The bank, of course, won't refinance, so he has no choice but to hand over the keys. And just like that, his entire $50 million fortune is gone, wiped out. And this isn't some rare story. It's happening to groups of doctors, lawyers, and family offices all over the country.
But look, this story isn't just about billionaires and real estate tycoons. This massive squeeze is also hitting the professional class. You know, the high earners who on paper should be doing great, but are finding themselves in a surprisingly fragile position.
Yeah, we're talking about the Henrys, high earners, not rich yet. These are folks pulling in, say, 200 to 500 grand a year, but they're struggling to build any real wealth because their cost of living is just astronomical.
Now get ready for this, because this statistic is genuinely shocking. Surveys show that a staggering 62% of Americans earning over $300,000 a year are carrying credit card debt. Let me repeat that. That's not a sign of them splurging on luxuries. It's a sign that their high incomes are being eaten alive before they even get a chance to save or invest.
And this is exactly why. By the time you take out taxes, especially in a high-tax state, then subtract a massive mortgage for a house in a good school district, and then pay for insane childcare or private school tuition, that big salary just shrinks fast. Lifestyle inflation eats up whatever's left, leaving this dangerously tiny sliver for actually building wealth. So beyond those obvious costs, the very wealthy are getting hit with a unique kind of inflation. You could call it a death by 1,000 platinum cuts, where the price of just maintaining a high net worth lifestyle is exploding faster than anything you see on the news.
I mean, we're talking about multi-million-dollar homes in places like California and Florida that are now literally uninsurable, which basically craters their value. The cost of household staff, estate managers, it's doubled. And remember all those regular rich folks who started playing venture capitalists during the tech boom? Well, they're now watching those angel investments go straight to zero. They basically bought a bunch of lottery tickets and they all lost.
And then you have the ultimate wealth decimation event, divorce. Now, what's interesting is divorce rates are actually falling for younger people, but they've doubled for people over 50, the exact demographic that holds most of the wealth. Trying to split complex, illiquid assets like a private business or an underwater real estate portfolio in a down market, it is just a brutally efficient way to destroy a fortune.
Okay, so after seeing how the people at the very top can fall so hard and so fast, what are the lessons for the rest of us? Why does any of this matter to you? Well, it's because the mistakes of the rich, when you scale them down, are even more dangerous for those of us who don't have that massive safety net.
So what can we learn from all this? First, you have to resist lifestyle inflation. Unlike the Henrys, you have to make sure your savings rate actually grows as your income grows. Second, prioritize liquidity. Cash is king. It always has been, and having it means you are never forced to sell your assets at the absolute worst time. Third, be incredibly careful with leverage. The buy, borrow, die strategy proved just how fast debt can turn on you. And finally, you have to understand that true financial strength isn't just some big net worth number. It's solvency. It's the ability to meet your obligations no matter what happens.
And that really brings us to the final question, doesn't it? These stories of the rich going broke, they kind of force us to rethink what it is we're all chasing. Is real wealth just a number on a screen, totally vulnerable to interest rates and market swings? Or is it something more durable, something like the freedom from debt, the security of cash in the bank, and maybe the simple, underrated ability to sleep soundly through the night?